Welcome to Ask and You Shall Grow. I'm Kathy.
I'm Yasmina.
And we're talking today a little bit about the topic of alignment. And we're going to go into what we think about it just in general, because it's a very long and deep topic. There's actually a lot to say.
It's a very interesting topic.
There's a lot to say. So we're going to do a bit of an intro to it, and we can talk about it another time in like a bit more detail, because there's so much to go into. It's actually very deep. It's very, very deep. Okay, so first of all, what is alignment? How would you define it?
First thing that makes me think about alignment is actually when things are put in an order that matches.
Exactly. It's about matching. I always think of an arrow, and when you're shooting something and you're like, I want to hit that mark, then it needs to be pointing in the right direction. The bow needs to be correct. The arrow needs to be placed rightly. Otherwise it won't go in there. It won't hit it. And I see alignment as like, it all needs to be in the right place for it to reach that. So that means your emotions, your thoughts, your body, all of it needs to be connected together to reach whatever you want to reach in your life, right?
Yeah, because if you are out of this,
if one of them are,
so you don't reach the target.
It's all about that goal that you have in your life, whatever that goal is. Sometimes though, what happens that we're not in alignment is that one of them is here and one of them is there. Or two of them are. They're like in different places. So your thoughts are here, your feelings are here. It's almost everywhere. Yeah. That happens a lot. Like you're like, I want to be fit and healthy. Let's do that. Let's go to the gym. You're like, yeah, I go to the gym. Your body is like, yeah, we go to the gym. And then you're like, oh my God, but I feel terrible. Why am I so not good? I'm not good at the gym. Your mindset is like super bad. And so you're hurting yourself because you're not like putting yourself in the space of like being the fit person. You're still thinking I'm not fit. And you're kind of blocking the arrow.
Blocking the goal of actually achieving
what you're trying to achieve, whatever that is, whether it's like to be fit or to lose weight or to gain weight, muscle.
True, but that's also because when we focus on something, we accentuate the feeling of it and our experience of that specific
thing we want to achieve.
Or not. Like if, for instance, we focus on, we're not fit, I don't look the way I want to look.
Right.
That doesn't help us.
No. Do you sometimes have feelings that are not positive? It's not like you're always going to be, oh my God, yeah, I'm great all the time. It's hard. It's hard to keep in check with the alignment. That's the thing.
We also need to be real to ourselves, honest. We have a goal, then we should focus on the goal that we're trying to achieve rather than on what we don't want to.
The ideal thing is to learn how to not ignore the negative thoughts that happen, but to like replace them, and eventually you find new ones. For example, when I started working out at the gym, I was like, what the hell am I doing? And a lot of the time I was like, oh, I'm scared I'm going to break this. Oh my God, I'm going to break a toe or whatever. I really felt that at the beginning.
Really?
Yeah, because I didn't know what I was doing with weights, and my personal trainer helped me a lot. But at the beginning I was like, oh my God, I don't want to get injured. That was my biggest worry.
Yeah, that happens
and
a lot.
That was really like scary actually in my head. And then I realized like, you're not as dumb as you think. You haven't died yet. Everything's been fine. So like, why are you being so harsh? Like, what is this? So eventually I started to get more confident. And then I was like, oh, okay, I actually know what I'm doing. Okay, I'm doing it well. It started to be more like, oh no, you can do it. Cause at the beginning I had a lot of doubt whether I could do stuff. It was like, can I lift this? Is this too much? Like it was so scary, even the idea of accepting it.
Yeah.
And then at one point I was like, no, I can, even if it was like, felt scary. I was like, I can. So that shift helped a lot with me being able to do something, because that was blocking me being able to do things.
But that's why it's necessary to have somebody to help you.
With this initially, especially, I would agree. Yeah. But like with alignment, you can't always have someone there. It has to be sometimes that you reflect.
Yeah.
It can't be that, mommy or dad or personal trainer or whoever, you can't be like, help me. You can't constantly look externally for that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the ideal, right? Like you don't look for outside help. But you're looking within, and you really know your values, because you want your values to align with the life that you want to live, and the life that you live, like your habits, need to be aligned with your values as well.
I think that's actually one of the things about alignment that's important to mention. So if you have a goal, let's say you want to be fit, we're using that analogy now, right?
Yeah.
It could be other things. It could be like, I want to find a husband. It could be like, I want to buy a house. I want to, travel the world. I want to start a business. Any goal that you have. First, you have to really reflect. If you don't have that reflection of like, who am I? What are my values? Because they can change also. Then it's hard to have a point where you're going to, because you don't know where you're at.
Yeah.
So that gap needs to be bridged, but you can't bridge it when you don't know where you are. It's like maybe you can
100%.
lift 100 kilos and you didn't know, or maybe you really can't lift anything. You're like 20 kilos is a lot for you. But if you don't know that, you don't know where you're going to go, because you don't know where you are. It's very, it sounds silly, but you really need to reflect a lot first on who am I? What are my values? to then figure out what you want to do.
And not everybody has that. And like, for instance, if you think about physical movement, right? Or like getting fit or getting stronger. That's why awareness is the first place. And that's like in everything else that you want to do. You want to learn a language. You want to, as you said, like find a husband or a best friend, for instance.
Anything. Yeah.
You need to be aware of what you want and where you are at to get where you want to be. Because if that part is missing, where am I heading now and what are my tools to get there?
Yeah, I agree.
It's really difficult.
It's almost like trying to aim the arrow, but you don't actually know where you are. So you don't know where you're hitting. It's like, where are we? We don't know.
You can say, okay, somebody's trying to shoot an arrow somewhere. They have their eyes covered, so they are in the blind, but they turn themselves, like they're spinning, and then they still try to hit that target. It's like, no, it's not going to work.
No, that's not going to happen for you. Yeah. But it's so hard because that's like an easy analogy to use because that's very physical and you can picture it. But with yourself, it's hard to see that you're out of alignment because you, for example, might be like, I go to the gym, I'm really fit, but then but I talk really bad to myself in my head when all the time because I think I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
Or I also do drugs and get drunk every weekend. And I'm like, oh, but I'm still fit. Like, that's a bit contradictory to your body. So it's not fully in alignment. Not that that's bad to do, to each their own, but more like you're not going to get the goal of being that fit because you're limiting your fitness with that behavior.
Yeah.
So it needs to align for it to reach really the best goal.
Yeah, and at the same time, you don't really know what is out of alignment because if we use an analogy from physical movement, for instance, what I do with my clients, take the topic of balance. Balance is not only physical, and it's also very mental, and it is very much about aligning the body and aligning your thoughts and emotions while balancing.
I had this with yoga years ago because sometimes I was like, wow, I can really do this. And I was holding one leg up and I was like, oh, this goes really easily today. Other days I was like, oh my God, I'm falling every time. Yeah. And it has to do with like, how present are you as well? Are you really present? Are you fully focused on what you're doing? If your head is like, I have to do this or elsewhere, it's not going to happen.
It also happens to me because, even people notice that I'm very good at balancing because I've done it a lot. My muscles are strong and I learned to also line the body in the way that makes me stay in that position and also move. So I can stay in balance, but move at the same time. So it's really hard. It's also hard for me to practice. It took me a while to get here, but there are days when I'm really like, I cannot focus. My thoughts are running and, it's human. Exactly. And that's when I realized, okay, that's really is not only about strength. It's not only about the way I'm aligning my body, but it's also about how I'm breathing, about how I'm thinking, how I feel in my heart. And it's really nice to become aware of it.
It is. It helps because then you can go, okay, this isn't working. I need to be present or I need to think differently or I need to move my body. Yeah. So awareness is really important. Awareness of what your values are, awareness of what you're feeling so that or what you're doing that isn't working. Because sometimes you're like, I want this goal. Why isn't it working? Something is out of alignment probably in what you're doing, whether it's your thoughts or your behavior. Something is not how it should be.
After awareness, I would say there's the intention.
What do you mean?
So intention of, okay, so I'm aware that this is happening. This is the place where I'm, and this is my intention for where I want to be. So the goal. Because if you don't have the intention, again, we're running into the same issue, like we don't know where we are going.
Exactly.
And why.
So they're so important, both of them. So it's like, where am I? Am I aligned? And then what is that goal? Like all of them need to be
and where do you
clear.
Want to be? Yeah.
In fact, I think lack of clarity is often where people don't have alignment with their life because they don't know what they're doing.
Yes.
And they don't know where they're going and they don't know what they want. They're like, I want to live here. I want to live there. I like this person. I like that person. I don't know which one I like. Like it's all confusing because you haven't decided what you want and who you are.
Yeah, it's hard to choose because we have so many options.
You're not like, I'm in the gym. I don't know why. That's not going to help you. But when you have a lot of options, you have to try out things because like, let's say you really value honesty, but what does honesty mean? Does that mean being blunt? Because that also is hurtful. It's tricky. You have to be like, do I think I should be that blunt or do I like that much bluntness? Like, how do I navigate that? You try the different options. You're like, okay, this doesn't work for me. I need to go here. And that's actually the way to figure it out. Because you can't know always from just having a goal. You have to try. Especially nowadays where we have so many options. It's so confusing. Just try stuff. You know.
That clarity comes from doing things.
Yeah.
It comes from action. If you just sit on it and think about it, you're gonna just become an overthinker, and then it's working.
It's not that it's bad to think. I think thinking is very good. But if it doesn't get coupled with action, then nothing will happen. That isn't really going to get you where you want to be at, if that's really where you want to be at.
Yeah, and also, like, if you think about the people who are going to the gym, I mean, how many people are going to the gym and then they just say, okay, I'm going to have a leg day or an upper body day.
Which is not bad.
Which is not bad, of course, but they don't actually know their goal for having that. They're just doing that because it's simple, because it gives them the structure that they need or they think they need. Wow. So it keeps them active. They are going to get to look good. But like what I realized is that many times people have a goal that goes deeper than that, but they're not aware of it. And they just stick to something that looks simple and looks like it's what they need, but it's not what they need.
How do you raise awareness? Because I feel like that's actually a lot of the problems for people. I realized maybe you and I, we're quite reflective people. We think, we write journal, we question things. And I have touch points, like maybe every month or every 6 months where I'm like, am I where I want to be? What is going on? And I really listen to myself. I'm like, I feel this is wrong, or I don't feel happy about this.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, how do I navigate it now? So I tend to make decisions based on that kind of touch point that I have with myself, where I reflect, make the time for it. But I notice a lot of people don't. And it's because they feel they don't have the time. They're like, I have 5 kids. I have 2 jobs. I have like a husband. I have a grandma, but everyone needs me. Yeah. I'm so busy. I have so much to do. And they don't make that space. And it doesn't have to be like a lot of space.
To answer your question, it's really hard. I mean, working with people, I got to understand that much, that it's really hard and it's different for everybody. Because some people might become aware just by asking them a couple of questions, which, I mean, happened in my case, or by asking them to do a task. And then they see, oh, I'm not good at it, but now I'm aware. Like actually, working with trainer, professional fighter, he actually thanked me for making him aware of his feet.
He hadn't thought about it.
I worked with his feet a lot, and we are still doing that, helping him to spread his toes in the way that he shifts his weight when he's stepping, because that's actually very good for kickboxers, because it helps them improve their balance, their posture, and he's really good. But bringing his awareness to this is just uncovering a different layer.
And it's something you would overlook most of the time.
But it doesn't work that way with everybody. I use footwork, for instance, in my classes as well. But not everybody's reacting in the same way, because not everybody understands how important it is to take care of the way you are using your feet. They don't know the impact.
Maybe then it's nice, if you can't do it yourself, let's say, to have a person that you're accountable to. Could be a friend, it could be someone objective that cares about you, or coach, I don't know, it depends on your budget, what you can afford to do.
Yes.
But someone who you can reflect with that is objective. So it's easier than they're not you. Because they can go, hey, I noticed this actually.
Yeah, and it has to be also someone that speaks their language. Because I know that, for instance, I can reach out to some people, and you too, but not to others. And some people understand us, some people don't. And I'm really aware of that. Like, I can talk hours.
And people don't get it.
Or they get it in the first second. I want to talk more to you, because we are actually speaking the same language. And that's interesting, because that's where the conversation can go deeper.
And where you learn most for yourself, I would say. Okay, so for alignment, what's important is, first of all, awareness. Who are you? What are your values? And then what's your goal? And then when you have a misalignment or something isn't working, to have those check-in moments, maybe.
Yes.
Right? 100%. So you're every month, every couple of months, every week, depending on your own availability, where you prioritize being on your own and talking about it with yourself or with someone who is objective and can help you. Because that gives you that clarity and that moment of okay, this is an alignment. Yeah, whatever that means for you and your goals. And it really is different areas. It could be your physical health. It could be your mental, emotional health. It could be your relationships with others, your family dynamics. It could be your job, your career. So there's so many things to look at, your lifestyle. Those all are areas that you really want to think about when you're doing that meditative, that kind of reflective, not meditative, that reflective moment.
It's also meditative.
That's what you want to do. You want to think about those areas and you want to think about what are my values, which is values are things like, do I value honesty? Do I value, loyalty? Do I value love? Do I value freedom? What do you value? What are your core things? And if you have at least 5 to 10, let's say 5 is the best because then it's shorter. Those are the ones you really want to focus on. You're like, okay, this doesn't align with that. Like this person is, not being fair and I care about justice. So that doesn't work for me.
It's about to know your truth, to know what you want and to be honest with yourself.